Hello everybody and welcome back for something different once again. This time I'm not actually playing, I'm just observing, and I'm observing a 2v2 between Deathless and Isilendil on Team 1 versus Duke Rolo and Thorin II on Team 2. Now you might recognise Thorin II from another YouTuber's videos, Zaid Player, another excellent YouTuber, and it looks like it's going to be a bit of a dwarven civil war here. Deathless and Isilendil have come out so confidently and said, we're going to choose Erebor and Iron Hills. So what is Thorin going to go for? Is he going to go for an Ered Lewin and make it truly a dwarven civil war? Let's have a look. He's gone for Erebor. There we go. Not quite a full dwarven civil war, but it will be very interesting nonetheless. We've got Duke Rolo as Rohan. I do believe this is one of his best factions, Duke Rolo. He's a Russian player. He's very good. And here we go. Classic barrack start. Barrack start. And this is actually... Okay, here we go. Isilendil here has gone for resource buildings. Now, in team games, I do much prefer resource buildings than I like them in 1v1s. That's not to say that in team games barrack starts are bad. Actually, very often, probably more often than not, I do still go for barrack starts. All I'm saying is that economy building starts in team games are so much more viable, and that's just because you're less likely to be clashing from the word go, and also you can somewhat rely on your teammate to help you fight a little bit. So here we go. Oh my goodness me, look at this. Right off the bat, he's going for a hero spam. Let me just draw your attention here. I just missed it, and I did want to cover it, but I got a bit distracted. This is Thorin II. He made a bit of a mistake in the early game. He made pikes, and he also made axe throwers at the same time. Now, that's 600 resources, and only 300 of those were actually being used in the production time decrease to get his unit out. If you've got queued units, it's never good, and this is true for any strategy game really that involves unit productions. If you're queuing them, it's never good because you could just be using that money elsewhere. I have talked about that before, but it's such an important point. And here we go. The hero spam. I used to use the hero spam as Rohan. In fact, there's a video on Rude Devil's channel of a hero spam that I used in one of the Eden tournaments that he held, but I generally don't tend to go for it now just because I prefer the exiles and I prefer just economy in general, because as you see, these 4 farms aren't being utilised to produce resources. Resources are completely they can be applied to anything. They're kind of like an abstract resource, whereas these buildings here are only really used for heroes. So even if you do go for resource buildings, you can still use those resources to get heroes, but if it's better to go for something else, then you can go for something else. So you kind of leave your options open. If you go for this style of play, your options are completely closed off to go for hero spam only. I did just miss what they said there. Thorin III alone will kill all Rohan heroes. That is very, very true. Thorin III. Let me just throw it out a... Yeah, lol. Thorin III is so overpowered in this mod, and I'm really not sure what the team was thinking when they made him as powerful as they are. I'm pretty sure he's going to be nerfed heavily in the next patch. I will go over a few of his stats if people do make him in this game, which I'm sure they will. There's a chance of 3 Thorin the Thirds coming out in this game, which is, that is just completely ridiculous. So if that does happen, so here is the advantage of going for all these statues, is that you do get the heroes out quickly, and the Rohan heroes are excellent. I personally would have gone for Theoden first. Look at that, 560 as opposed to 800. So it can work. It can work well for you. I just don't think it's optimal. It's almost, again, a bit of a cheese to do this. Whereas, it's another example of if you don't counter it well, it can be effective, but if you counter it well, it's not that great. Here we go. Creeping the troll. Another How to Ordain video. You can creep trolls with heroes. It looks like it's going to be quite close, but as you see, they just about managed to get it. And the best thing about that for gambling is he does get to level 2 from killing a troll, and his level 2 allows him to summon 1 battalion of peasants, and it also gives a boost to the peasants that already exist. Temporarily gain 20% armor and damage, so that is quite good. Here we go. Thorin's done well here. He's pumped out quite a few units, and he's gone for a very, very early Dale. Let's see. He's only got 2 resource buildings here. He's not pumping out any more units. So that's an extremely early Dale, and this is a good opportunity to talk a little bit about outposts. Outposts in this mod. Unlike any other strategy game, really, I don't think there's any strategy game I can think of that has outposts as a feature. And they do feature quite heavily in a lot of Edane games. And really, an early outpost like that, I believe, is not the best thing to do, because, as I've said previously, your enemy can really just invest that money that you spent on the outpost in their own army, and if they manage to destroy that outpost, you've just completely lost all of that money. And outposts aren't cheap. Now, Dale is relatively cheap. It's only 800, but then it does have quite a few upgrades that you build. So once you've fully upgraded it, it does start to become very expensive. And if the enemy can destroy it, that's a huge loss for you early in the game. Now, the counterbalance to that is that in this patch currently, towers are quite... No, Iron Hill looks faster. I don't know what he's saying there. Look at this, once again queuing. This is really what you don't want to be doing. You see, this is the only thing that's doing anything at the moment. These two are just sitting there doing nothing. He could be using those resources to make more units. He's not making more units. He's not making more resource buildings in his base. So really, you can tell there, that is a prime example of why queuing is not a good thing to do. As I was saying, watchtowers, or arrow towers in general, are very good in this patch. They deal huge damage, and I think that is one of the patch notes that the team is making to reduce in the next in the next patch release. So that's one of the things that really saves an early outpost, and that's why a lot of players go for it. You know, it's a very strong defensive plot, and you can really focus all of your attention on keeping this alive, building up your army there, then moving out for an attack. Personally, I don't like it, and I only don't like it because I don't think it's optimal. So here we go, Rohan heroes. The spam is real. 3, and has he got Theoden yet? Yeah, Theoden. He hasn't got Theoden yet. I would really be going for him just for his economic boost. So it's looking like it's slightly in favour of Thorin and Duke Rollo here, because they have a bit more of a presence over the map. They've definitely got more presence in the centre. A bit of harassment here. Now, dwarves are slow, so I wouldn't recommend harassing like this as Iron Hill dwarves. But the counterbalance to that, of course, is Erebor are also slow. So I wouldn't play like this against other factions, but against Erebor, maybe it would work. Whose battle wagon is this? This is going to be something very difficult to keep track of throughout the game. Whose battle wagon is who? It was Deathblitz, and it's been killed by Thorin II. Luckily, it's Iron Hills versus Erebor over here, and not Erebor versus Erebor. That would really be confusing. So, the Axe Throwers. The Axe Throwers of Erebor, they are super, super strong. If you didn't already know. Their cutting axes are crazy good, and look at them just demolish these units here. Really, the biggest weakness they have is how slow they are. So they can really be caught out by faster units. He's gone for the guard post here, so that means he's got Theodred out, and very luckily I clicked on him there. I didn't actually mean to click on him, that was just pure luck. Eowyn comes out, and really this is classic hero spamming right here. Some players actually get quite annoyed if you hero spam, and a few times I've been accused of hero spamming in my games when I haven't got any hero statues out. So yeah, people do get quite annoyed if you do it. Some players do anyway. So here we go. Oh, and here it's Elendil. He's actually got 2 spots left. He's filled up these with double resources. He's got the Dale Swordsman, so that must mean only one thing. He's got a Dale over here. There it is. He's actually not gone for the housing area or the well. He's just gone straight for the militia house. A bit of queuing here. Again, not optimal. Not terrible, but not optimal. And look at this. The Rohan hero is really pushing back Erebor here. He's got King Dane out. That's a surprise. King Dane is expensive. King Dane has got a great first ability. Plus 50% attack. And no resistance to fear. When you play as Erebor, their units have high damage anyway. If you give, but look at the hero damage to King Dane here, and he's so slow that I don't think he's going to be able to retreat. The heroes will chase him down. There they go. There he goes. That's a huge loss for Isilendil. And really, the Rohan heroes, that is a situation where the Rohan hero spam really worked well for him. He's already got Aomer to level 3, and he gets resources per kill at level 3. So this is really going to help Rohan's economy. Now, this is another great example of why the hero spam can be so strong. If you can get Aomer out, and you can get him to level 3, that really compensates for the lack of resource production you have in the early game, because every unit you kill gives you resources, and you will be able to kill a lot of units with all of those heroes. Now let's have a look. Dale is doing well. It's not been attacked by Iron Hills as of yet, and the longer you leave an outpost, it's like cancer. The longer you leave it there to manifest itself, the worse it gets, and eventually it gets to a point where the disadvantage of going and spending all that money so early on is counterbalanced by the resources that the outpost produce itself, and eventually, after a certain amount of time, you get to a point where the outpost is paid for itself and then some, because it continues to produce resources, so it pays for itself, then you start to make a profit. Then it spirals out of control, because not only are you making a profit, but you've also got this crazy good defensive build plot that your enemy really can't attack. And that's why outpost rushes can be so good if it's not counted properly. Again, it's another example. There goes Theoden, thanks to a battle wagon. Battle wagons are so good against heroes. That was obviously a bad macro mistake from Duke Rolo here. So yes, that is once again another example of non-optimal strategies that can become good if you don't utilize them well. There was a great example of Black Arrows, an ability that I rarely use in my games because I hardly ever go for these archers, and it reduces the range of archers and also reduces fears. Deathless, I miss Gimli 2K. Oh yes, something I forgot to mention. These players use a patch fix for 4.4.1. I'm not actually sure how good the patch fix is. It's designed to increase the balance of the game, but I'm not sure how well it is. I'll have to have a bit more of a look into it. I have used it a couple of times, but not nearly enough to work out if it's any good. He's actually managed to get Dane back here, and look at this. He got no levels from the previous engagement, so really that is quite bad for Isilendil. And still 2 build plots not occupied. Here we go, the resource buildings. And I'd just like to take this moment, as we watch this battle play out, to just mention that on this YouTube channel, I would also like to have some games where I don't play. Down goes Nori. 800 resources, wow. Really, 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 that is great. Because just think, he costs, what does he cost? 150? But if you kill him, he gets 800. Let's see how much Dane, epic fighting, gambling there. Dane just destroys gambling. Yeah, 800 for a 150 resource hero. You know, killing him is really, really great. Here we go. Yes, I'd just like to say that I am interested in people submitting replays to me, and for me to commentate over the replays and give my thoughts. So if you have had any good matches recently that you'd like to share with me, and you would like for me to give my opinion on them, no matter what skill level you are, if you're a complete noob, all the better, to discuss your epic plays. So yeah, that is something I'm interested in. For you submitting my replays, and also observing plays. Here goes the GG. And really, this is a prime example of the outpost power. He's given a GG because what can you do when you've got this outpost that's so strong and you didn't kill it in time? That's why outpost rushes can be so great. So yes, submit your replays to me, and I'll have a look over them. Resource, plus 75% from a battle wagon. Now, a battle wagon costs 600, so why that only produces 750, whereas a hero produces 800, I do not know. Nevertheless, Rohan's economy is booming, all thanks to Aomer and the kills that his surrounding units are getting. Look at this, he's got 2 empty build plots, but his economy is probably the strongest out of everyone at the moment. So quite a quick game. Deathless certainly has given the GG. He's getting some battle wagons out. Now, dwarves are again another very interesting faction, and quite difficult in my opinion to play well, unless of course you go for Eridel Win, who I do agree with the majority of players that they're OP, and simply because of the speed that the Guardians have, combined with Thorin, Broken Shield, aka Oakenshield, they can be so strong, and I'd like to show a few examples of that, just in case anyone is in any doubt about the power of Aerodal Win in this patch. There we go. Deathless has left the match. Isolendil have left the match. That's it. GG. An example of Outpost play and Rohan heroes winning the game. No Outpost here, as you see. And an example of how great Eomer is. And yeah, a couple of potential cheeses. I don't want to call them cheeses because they're not really cheeses, going for Outposts and going for hero rushes. But they weren't effectively countered by the opposition, although it is very hard to counter those two plays. It's hard to counter hero spam. It's hard to counter early Outposts, especially when you get the tower on there. But they didn't counter them well enough, and it lost them the game. So thank you for watching, and we'll have a quick look at the stats here. Most units lost. Isolendil. Who got the most kills? Look at that, 8.36 kill to death ratio. Another example of why Outposts can be so good. You do tend to have a higher kill to death ratio just because you've got a defensive build plot. Most units killed. Duke Rolo. Yeah, and he got a lot of resources from doing that. So anyway, thank you. I hope you enjoyed this slightly different video where I'm not actually playing for once. And again, send me your replays. I'll go over them. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.